Abimelech Ortiz. Abimelech is 21 years old. He was born February 22nd in Bayamon, Puerto Rico. He went to college in Florida Southwestern State Junior College. I bet there's an interesting story there. That's interesting to me that he went to a JUCO. Anyways, Abimelech spent the season of 2021 at the rookie level. He had 129 at bats. He batted 233 with an on base percentage of 419, slugged 581, and had an on base plus slugging of 1,000, baby. That's 11 home runs, 10 doubles, 1 triple, 31 strikeouts, 33 walks. Insane. That's a really good DSL rookie level. It's just really impressive. 2022 saw him have 292 at bats. He batted 226, on base percentage of 308, slugged 380, and had an on base plus slugging of 688. So there was a learning curve there. He had 11 home runs. He had a lot of strikeouts, 93 strikeouts to 32 walks, 6 stolen bases, got caught stealing 7 times. We'll get back to that. But 2023 saw him grow in single A and high A. He had 391 at bats. He hit 294, on base 371, slugs 619 with an on base plus slugging of 990. So blowing away what we want to see at the 9 range. He had 33 home runs, 1 stolen base, struck out 126 times and walked 49. Abimelech Ortiz. Ross, I know you love him.
Okay, so I said this in an earlier podcast. So if you have been listening to us, apologies for repeating myself, but I got to give a shout out to Dukes Was My Guy, at Dukes Was My Guy on Twitter. All year long, he was singing the song of Abimelech Ortiz. And every time he hit a home run, he was sending out a GIF, and it was Abby bombs, Abby bombs, Abby bombs. I loved it. It was just a lot of fun to see. Anyone on Twitter doing that stuff, send your stuff my way because I want to see that. It's just fun to track. Abimelech Ortiz had a big breakout this year, and at the single A level, when he first started, he was really tearing things up. He slugged 604. I mean, you went through the overview of the overall numbers, and I was kind of, like, he's probably going to cool down, and he was promoted to high A, but no, he didn't. He actually hit for more power at high A. 26 bombs at that level, 33 overall. Yeah, a lot more power. It was a really nice breakout. It doesn't mean the profile is perfect. He's got a lot of power. But his plate discipline is still questionable at this point. He's playing at lower levels, and he's older than a guy like Blaze Jordan, so there's that. But we didn't even touch on his Arizona Fall League, which has been very impressive as well. And you know what the most interesting thing about his Fall League season is that he walked more than he struck out. So that plate discipline, which I was queuing in on as being a potential issue for him, lots of strikeouts, not a ton of walks. I mean, he improved on that tremendously in the Arizona Fall League, at least. So there's a lot of promise here. There's a learning curve, I think, and he's on it, as you like to say, on a rocket ship. So I really like Abimelech Ortiz. I've got him ranked higher than both Brady House and Blaze Jordan, as we were talking about those two guys just a little bit ago. So I'm interested. I think there's an interesting ceiling here. He projects for unregressed. He projects for 37 home runs per 600 plate appearances at peak, which is some of the best in the minor leagues that we will see. And he gets a scout grade equivalency of 75 for his power tool, which is pretty insane. Tops out at 80. We don't have a whole lot of 80s, so pretty impressive. His hit tool is only a 40, and that's what he's going to have to work on. And the key there is what I was just touching on. I think it's the plate discipline. So if what he's done in Arizona Fall League is to be believed, I mean, there's a serious impact player there. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah. To me, this screams go get him.
Go get him. Yes, I agree. He is a go get him because he's still flying under the radar. He doesn't have a lot of notoriety as a prospect yet. We're ranking him aggressively, or I am personally, and STS has got him boosted up there quite a bit. So this is your chance before rankings start coming out prior to next season, before the hype starts getting to this guy a little bit more. This is your chance to go get him.
22-year-old in Double-A next year. Go get him. Hey, I love it. He's got a terrible comp on STS, in my opinion. He's got Luke Voigt.
Luke Voigt is really queuing in on the low bat, but the power, So he's got to improve that bat.
Really don't like that comp, but I like Abby Mellick Ortiz. Go get him.
Go get him.
All right. Number 3. We're in the top 3.
Top 3.
Count it down. Top 3. All right. This is, I think, a double personal favorite for ours. This is one of my favorites. This is one of Ross's favorites. He had a tough year. We're not going to lie about it. He had a tough year. There were some underlying issues there that we'll probably get into. But number 3 on our bats and stats, Scout the Statline, top first baseman, Kyle Manzardo. How do you say it? The Manzalorian?
Manzalorian.
I love it. I love
Manzalorian, like the Mandalorian. Come on.
Yeah. Kyle Manzardo, born 7/18/2000 in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Drafted in 2021, Tampa Bay Rays, round 2, pick 63 overall out of Washington State. I think we all know what his profile looked like before this year, so let's dive into this year. What happened this year? He played a little bit of rookie ball, but there was an injury in there, and he had two stints at AAA because of a trade. He got traded from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Cleveland Guardians. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Okay, I'm correct on that.
They got a team. They got a thing going on between players.
I had to really recall what I was talking about there, but yeah, in AAA this year when he was playing for the Tampa Bay Rays, he had 265 at bats. He batted .238, on base percentage of .342, slugged .442 with an on base plus slugging of .784. He did have 11 home runs, 1 stolen base, strikeouts 65, walks 42. It was down. It was a struggle compared to what he did in previous years because he was knocking the cover off the ball. There was nothing stopping the Manzalorian. He did get traded to the Guardians, and in 78 at bats, he hit .256, .348 on base, .590 slugging, and watched his on base plus slugging pop up to .938. He did have 6 home runs in those 78 at bats, no stolen bases, and 8 doubles. There was an underlying issue that Ross brought to my attention that his mother had heart problems. Am I correct?
Yes, she needed a heart transplant.
Yeah. So when we talk about random players, just looking at their stats, like we all do, we're fantasy baseball players. That's what we do. We don't know what's going on. We don't know that they got traded or that their best friend might be fighting with them. Maybe their girlfriend dumped them. There can be all kinds of things that go into struggles throughout life. And in this case, it sounds like his mother needed a heart transplant. Um, Sounds like she's doing fine now. I think everything's kind of moving in the right direction, and so are his stats. So take with what you will with that. Um, Baseball's a heady game, man. You got to have your head on your shoulders to be able to hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and then a 72-mile-an-hour curve. Let's not kid ourselves.
No doubt about it. I think, at Scout the Statline, we very rarely touch on the psychological elements of the game, the psyche in general. And I do want to take a second just to touch on that because we're not robots. We've created data models and they only care about the data. We can only feed it so much information. And that physical, that psychological component to the game is it's so immense.
Yeah.
We just don't know how to judge that. So I have two things to say here. Well, I've got a lot of things to say, but one of them is there was something different this year, and it could potentially have impacted the way that Kyle Manzardo, the Manzalorian, plays the game to a large extent. I know that would have an impact on me, but the flip side of it is I also am not one to give people reprieves. I can look at it and be like, okay, there's something going on there, but I'm also not going to just give them a pass, right? So, and I know that sounds cold-hearted, and I don't mean that at all from a personal perspective. I don't have a personal relationship, and I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Kid, I guess I could say that because he's so much younger than me. But I do want to say this. We have a tale of two seasons, and they're not dramatic. It's not like he was awful this year, but his numbers last year were pretty pristine, and they weren't at that level this year. And I don't think this is one of those cases where he's somewhere in between, maybe to some extent, but I think you're getting one or the other. And when I look at the two seasons and I compare them and I look at what's different, I still see good plate discipline despite moving up to AAA. I tend to trust last year's productive numbers more than I trust this year's productive numbers because of that intervening variable. I want to be very clear about that. So nonetheless, I'm still, I've moved him down in my own rankings as a result because there's some uncertainty that's been introduced. But I do believe that this is a really good bounce back candidate. And if I were to name a top 5 for buy low prospects, he would undoubtedly be near the top of that list. So I'm going to say this strongly. Go get Kyle Manzardo if you can get him at a discounted rate. And do this for Kyle's mom, for crying out loud.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, like you're going to get him and he's going to do awesome. And, it's going to help your team. Hopefully it will help everybody's health and all that too, in some weird, I don't know, all fabric is connected way. One other thing to touch on here is Arizona Fall League was also pretty strong. The batting averages, it's been lower this year all around. So I don't know if that's a focus thing. His power has been pretty consistently good this year compared to last year even. He's still got the same quality of plate discipline. So, in fact, I know a lot of people were really impressed with him this year for setting really high marks for exit velocity and things like that people are interested in seeing. So I think this is a really good chance to get in on a guy that just had a tough season, a tough season. We all have tough years. So I can accept that, and I'm saying go get him.
Love it. I'm right on board with you. I've been on the bandwagon for the Manzalordian since the get-go. I mean, go get him. He does have a comp of Jesus Aguilar,
Yeah,
Milwaukee Brewer, first baseman.
don't love it. Don't see him as being a similar kind of player, but
Aguilar
given
had a
how
pretty high average there for like 2 seasons
yeah,
with quite a few bombs. If he turns out to be that for his career, it'd be great. So not an awful comp, but yeah, I could see better. Kyle Manzardo, go get him.
go get him.
All right, top two, baby. We're in the top two. Here we come with probably my favorite first baseman. Can you agree with that? Is this your favorite first baseman?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Besides the guy that maybe is coming into the league next year.
Yeah, Kurtz. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. With I think both of our personal preference standing right now at first base is a Tampa Bay Ray, and he's with the Single A affiliate. His name is Xavier Isaac. Big man, 6'3", 240 pounds. Let's just start calling him man child. Let's get it over with. He's the Terminator, man child.
X Factor. Call him X Man at least. Come on.
Yeah,
The
okay,
X
X Man.
Factor, Weapon X, or as the Statliners like to say, Big Pookie for no reason in particular. Big Pookie.
Big Pookie for no particular reason. We got a left-handed at bat at first base. He was born December 17th, 2003 in Fayetteville, North Carolina, drafted in 2022. Tampa Bay Rays, round one, pick 29 overall out of high school East Forsyth, Kernsville, North Carolina. He sat in the rookie level last year for only 19 at bats, so we're going to skip by it. 2023, Single A and then High A, combined of 361 at bats, 19 home runs, 285 average, on base percentage of 395, slugged 521, on base plus slugging is over 9 at 916. And he had 12 stolen bases.
Yep.
12 stolen bases and never got caught. He could be a 2020 guy. I'm just teasing.
Well, let's
92,
talk about that.
92 strikeouts and 64 walks. 20 doubles, 4 triples. Man, like I don't have anything bad to say.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out there. I've done a few of these videos on the next big thing, right? That series, and it's going to cover more ground than we will in our little discussion about this because we're focused. We're focused more on the Scout the Statline side of this, but in there I dive into his full season really and some of his physical attributes. He's got more athleticism than he looks like he has. Even when you're just looking at his profile, a little more athletic than that. He's got big grades for his power, and he's got surprising plate discipline. That's what I've seen from him personally, looking through the data. So interesting player all around, and he grades out to be one of the better players by Scout the Statline's data model. He gets a above average grade for his hit tool of 60, and then he gets a 70 for his power tool. Scout the Statline doesn't see there being any future stolen base potential here. We talked about the 12 stolen bases. That's something I know in that video, the next big thing. Probably not going to translate, especially given his size and physical attributes. But he's got the speed to make it work in the low levels of the minors. Again, when he moves up, maybe Vladimir Guerrero level speed. He's got some sneaky athleticism in there despite his size. but he grades out unregressed for 32 home runs per 600 plate appearances while having a really solid bat. I want to take a second to talk about the Rays because I think it's really interesting. Last year, they had Manzardo, who was the top of this list. And this year, they had Trey Morgan on this list. And then we've got Xavier Isaac. They traded Manzardo. This team is just so good at identifying and developing talent. It's insane. It really is impressive that they're able to do these things with these players to the level that they were comfortable enough letting go of a player of Manzardo's caliber, right? And they did it before too with Nate Lowe, right? They had a really good prospect that they were just willing to let go. So just a fascinating thing. I think he's in the right organization for a special career. And I think he's going to be he's one of the top prospects that you can target at this position.
Yep.
No doubt about it. In fact, probably my favorite, probably number one.
Yeah, he's my number one as well. Body types there, he's going to be a first baseman. God, he's a big guy. Scout the Statline has a comp of Roger Maris. Yeah, I don't love that comp at all.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense in my head. I have a comp myself, and it would be Rafael Devers.
Okay. All right.
Devers is not as tall. Don't get me wrong, but they have about the same poundage on them. Devers is 235. Isaac is 240 with 3 inches on top of him. But if you look at their minor league stats, it's pretty similar. And they also have a facial comp. They got puffy cheeks. They got squeezy cheeks. Squeeze their cheeks.
It's interesting. I could see that a little bit. There's some similarities there. I think Isaac has better plate discipline than Devers showed coming up, but it's an interesting comp, and okay, I'm on board with it.
Yeah, Isaac is a absolute go get him. If you're rebuilding, you probably give up your best player for him. If you are just trying to get him, you're probably going to have to give up your best prospect plus. He's going to be a tough get.
I don't know. I mean, does he have a lot of top 100 billing? Maybe the low ends right now. I think you can. I think he's obtainable. He would be my number one prospect because I think he's going to be an impact major leaguer.
He's on a rocket ship right now on everybody's boards.
Well, he should be. He should be. But it seems like every time he gets brought up, I hear people being like, well, I don't know. His splits don't look that good.
So that's another thing that we're doing right now. We're 4 months ahead of everybody. If you're listening to us right now, Isaac is attainable now. In 4 months, when everybody else's rankings come out, he's not going to be attainable. That's what I was trying to say.
Good point. Good point. Go get him right now before it's too late. Before it's too late. Yep.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, because he's going to be top 50 on MLB. Guarantee it.
Oh,
no that won't come out till January. By
this time next year, I think he'll be a top 30, if not higher prospect.
I think January this year, he'll be top 50 on everybody's list. Once everybody starts going through it, once again, we're 4 months ahead. He'll be top 50 on everybody's list.
Go get him right now before it's too late. That's what it comes down to. All right.
Listen to me. Open your ears, Ross. You're hearing me, but you're not listening.
Yeah, that's what all the girlfriends say too.
Or no, you're listening, but you're not hearing. That's what it is. I don't remember. I think that was Jerry Maguire. You're hearing me, but you ain't listening. I think that was Cuba Gooding Jr.
I don't know. That's not ringing a bell.
Anyways,
I sent out a Jerry Maguire video this morning, by the way.
love
Anyway,
Jerry Maguire.
let's move on.
Let's talk about Jerry Maguire.
Yeah,
Anyways,
let's just go on.
Let's get into our number one top overall first baseman, scoutthestatline.com. Bats and stats, Ross Jensen, Brian Shanks, bringing it to you. Let's get intense. Let's rock and roll. Nolan Shanchel. Shanuel.
Not quite sure how to say that name.
That's why I did the build up, because I was trying to hide it, but behind it's Nolan Shanuel. Nolan Shanuel. Yeah, Nolan Shanuel is a Los Angeles Angel. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's 21 years old. He was born February 14th. We got a lot of February birthdays. I got to mention this. This is 8 February birthdays that I've talked about tonight. So February 14th, 2002, in Boca Raton, Florida. Drafted 2023 Los Angeles Angels, round 1, pick 11 overall, out of College of Florida Atlantic. The reason that I said February is it's my birthday as well. Let's go into the other stats. He's got 2023 stats of he's only got 74 at bats. In 74 at bats, he played for the rookie level, the A level, and the double A level. So we're really blowing through things. 250 in rookie A, 833. So he got 5 hits and 6 at bats. And then he got 60 at bats in double A, 20 hits, 333, on base 474, slugged 467, on base plus slugging 941 with 3 doubles, 1 home run, 1 stolen base. College stats. What do you got on his college stats, Ross?
Okay, so overall in college, he was a 386 hitter with a 516 OBP and a 698 slugging percentage. Good for a 1215 OPS.
Good God.
His last year, he hit 19 home runs, and he walked, get this, 71 times while striking out 14. Almost had a 1,500 OPS. Almost a 1,500 OPS. Now, granted, he was at Florida Atlantic, which is a pretty small school. We're not.
What are they
like
in?
one of the major.
I'm looking it up right now. What are they in baseball?
They're in Conference USA.
Okay, I thought it was Atlantic Sun for some reason. Okay.
Now, Conference USA, I think they moved there a few years back anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, so Nolan Shanuel is a controversial figure for us. I ranked him pretty aggressively on the strength of, well, he was hitting really well. He's got this great track record in the minor leagues, and then he was boosted by the Angels into the major leagues right away. So I boosted him into my top 30 for prospects, I think into the top 25 maybe, and was listing him as one of my top first base prospects. And I got some criticism over this. Like, it blows me away some of the things that I get criticism over. And the criticism was Shanuel, like, you have him ranked too high. He swings a wet noodle. Like, he's not going to make it. And this blows me away because he's having success as a major leaguer right now. And I got some interesting comments on that from some big names out there. The guy that started Driveline, that organization, commented on there, and he said rarely does it work out for somebody to have a higher OBP than a slugging percentage, which is an interesting comment. But again, we're judging this on a pretty small sample, and I think that there's a presumption that it means that Shanuel's power is not going to grow. And that's where I diverge from everybody else, because this guy was a collegiate this year and he's already pushed up into the major leagues. He's hitting successfully. He's not demonstrating a lot of power, but he has a home run. He's got a professional home run, and he had one in the minors. So I don't think there's a complete wet noodle here. I think the guy has some power, but he clearly has to. That's the key to him unlocking star power. If he gets a little bit more power, if he doesn't, I mean, we're looking at the way that I view it from a comparison perspective is there could be a Will Clark type of hitter here. If we're seeing a little bit of growth in power, but not a tremendous, we're looking more at a Mark Grace sort of profile, who's a very successful major leaguer. And I think that would be an okay outcome. And I think that's the problem. That's the argument that I've been having with people is they're saying that that's not acceptable. I guess I don't really know, but I think that is a good outcome for this guy and definitely worthy of a placement in the top 30 for prospects. So I believe in Nolan Schanuel. I'm giving him my endorsement. I'm saying this is a good player that you need to have your eye on. Yes, there is a key to unlocking his potential, and it's in that power. No doubt.
I think you can make that argument with an on base higher than your slugging when it's at like 350. We're talking about 474. How can you make the argument of 474 compared to 467? That's ludicrous to me. I'm just back. I'm not trying to cause an argument or anything like that, but you can't make that argument anything over 400.
Well, I think they were ignoring their minor league stats. I think they were ignoring their minor league stats. They were just saying based on his professional sample, which his OBP was 402 and his slugging was 330. But we're only talking about 132 plate appearances. It's a really small sample. The guy was in college this year. I want to emphasize that. He played a full season of college ball earlier in the season, So to me, it's like you're making this judgment way too early. Let's see if his slugging percentage is lower than his OBP next year. And if it is, then maybe pitchers stop worrying about being careful around him. Maybe they start challenging him more, I guess. That would be the presumption there is they would challenge him because they think he's not going to hit it very hard anyway. And either he starts hitting for more average and his slugging percentage increases as a result, or he doesn't and he fails to be a successful major leaguer. Sure. It seems unlikely to me, but possible.
Sure. Yep. He has a comp of Wade Boggs.
Pretty good comp.
You like that comp?
I love that. I've been talking about Wade Boggs all year, man.
He has popped up a lot this year. We had him in the mustache controversy.
We wanted it to be Wade Meckler, but Nolan Schanuel getting that comp is pretty interesting. I think Schanuel is going to have more power. Okay. I don't think he's going to have the Wade Boggs bat necessarily, but he's got a good bat.
There it is, fellas. There is Scout the Statline.com's top 10 first basemen. I don't disagree with a lot of them. I love it. I love every single one of them. I love them all. Matter of fact, every minor leaguer out there, I love them all. They're all great.
We did good on this one. This was a pretty good one, I think.
Yeah. First basemen's turned out a lot better than I thought they would. Coming into this, I was a little bit nervous. I was like, who are we going to talk about tonight? This isn't going to be pretty. And lo and behold, here we are. And I'm excited. Now I want, March to come around. Can we just teleport?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Or let's just keep drafting.
We got a lot of work to do, dude. So
let's just keep drafting over and over. like we've been doing for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
News there. Lots of drafts going on right now. Me and Ross are a part of two of them. Well, one just concluded, and you're going to be able to read about that on scoutthestatline.com. I won that draft. Thank you.
You did have a very good draft. I was looking through it. I thought you had a really good draft.
And our next one starts tomorrow morning.
Yep.
November 8th, tomorrow morning. With that, guys, we're going to come right back at you. Not next week. I will be gone. But the week after, we're going to come at you with second baseman. What do you think?
I think we go second baseman. Yeah.
We're going to go second baseman. Sagisi is going to be in there. I am so excited about Sagisi.
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 You're just gonna be stubborn over that one. No.
Anyways, guys, I really appreciate you coming around, watching our video. Any comments? Ross has got his Twitter handle down there. The X handle is at Brian59044. If you have any questions for me, please either direct message me or throw something on my page. I would love to hear from every single one of you. There it is. We'll see you next time.